Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices for Thursday, September the 2nd, and starting with the Russell here. The Russell has got a long way to go to finish a fifth wave, and I don't know if the S&P and the NASDAQ has got that sort of length in it. So we're going to be, we need to be sort of careful here, because also to this wave 4 here, I mean, they can get a bit sort of ugly, but I guess what we're looking for here next is, this is all minor group 1 here, which is these are three. This is a major level here, and then a minor level 1, 2, and 3 that make up minor group 1. If we can get a tested support on here, and we've tried, but we just haven't made that new high. So it would have been tested if that high was taken out, or this high, or that high, or that high, but it's not the case. So we're looking for a classic trading levels pattern at this point here, and we'll see how that goes. So if you're long in this market, then if that's the 2,300 here, this is what you can expect. We're starting to see resistance from that now, so there'll be all of this to go through it. It won't be as big as this, but it's exaggerated, but it'll still be in that, and you can see that it's struggling at this point. It might move through it a bit quicker, so let's just go to the hourly chart and pick that up there. So my count so far from that low, which can be wave 2 or wave 4 there at the moment, that doesn't really matter so much because we're in this leg here. It does appear we've got a nice 5 waves for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and we just need to keep building at this point. But if we start to see it sort of falter even below this here, then there's a problem with this count, and we would need to readdress it. But we need to see it sitting on support of this minor group 1 here. Alrighty, the NASDAQ. With the NASDAQ here, there's two counts that we'll look at today. There's one where we're looking for wave 5 here, and we could look at little wave 1 and 2 in here, and a 3 and a 4 here, and a 5 here. We've got a top in here, and that's the end of it, and we come down at that point. Or we can look at all of this here as wave 1 and 2 here, and then building to the upside here, and looking at a target at a reasonable level here at close to 16. But also coming up from 16 to 16 here, two important levels is the 500 and the 800. So from 15,000, the Fibonacci sequence of numbers, 100, 200, 300, 5 and 8, 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8. They're the numbers that would run up in that way. So we're going to have a look at two counts here. Let me just sort of drill in slowly. I'll just try and, so this just on this 8-hour chart here, not that it's anything special, but looking at all of this as 1 and 2 here, and then looking for the third wave here, which is still too short at this stage compared to wave 1. I mean, it's okay to be shorter, but that means that wave 5 here is going to be shorter still. So looking at it, just breaking that down a bit on the 4-hour chart, and we'd look at it as wave 4 here with 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2. Sorry, I've got that a little bit wrong in here yesterday, but 1 and 2 here. So we could, in our bullish weekly cycle, we can expect Thursday to be the bearish day in our bullish weekly cycle. So that would put us at a bearish situation here today, in next session. So we could be looking at this. Well, this is how it would sort of play out here. So quite a long way to go in this regard here. But remember that I've also got a count that looks at this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then going up for 3 and 4 here. It does make wave 5 a little bit short in here, but still we need to address it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and looking up as 5 as the top being in place here. So it's just something that we need to move through, and if there's a count there that's got half a silly chance, we can't stick our head in the sand. We need to sort of, understand it and acknowledge it, and understand at what point would it be wrong or right. So that's what we'll be doing at this point, and just going to the hourly chart here to address this a little bit further in here. As you know, we've got 1 and 2 here, and we'll be looking for further up. We'll see the stochastics pulling back down, so that's nice. Not the best looking 5 waves up here, but sort of there. It has made a new high, so we'll look at this as 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave, fourth wave and fifth wave. So we'll see how that goes. We're in we've got the midpoint here, and then we've got subgroup 2, which is 65, 72, and 80. And you can see that it's tried to get in there, but it hasn't actually sat in there. Once it actually can claw its way in and stay there, then you know that you're going to be going up at that point. So that's number 65, or in this case, 15,650. So the 650, which I'll just call the 65 number to make it easy on myself, yeah, it's subtle but critical, so keep an eye on that. But otherwise, we could just expect to see some sort of little ABC to come back in here somewhere and then push off again from that point. Now, I want to go to the tick chart to have a look at the other count, which if I can just come back here a little bit, just to make it, because the tick chart's always a little bit crowded. So this would be wave 1 here and 2 here, and then green wave 3 here, and green wave 4 here, and green wave 5 here. Is that possible? Yeah, it does make this, when I do count this up here as 1 and 2 and so on up here, it does make the 5th wave a little bit small, but yeah, so there's different ways to look at this. Let's just go to the tick chart, 100 ticks, and we'll bring in a bit of data. So yeah, that should do the trick. Don't need that. So from, even if you don't trade this market, it's kind of important to to understand where it is a little bit, because it's actually the NASDAQ 100. I should put that in, not the comp. So yeah, we could look at it as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then I've got it. Well, I've been looking at it as 1 and 2. And wave 3 up there. So I put a bit of work into that. So that I felt okay about that. And then that would be wave 4 over here. And then we've been counting up through here. So in this case, just slightly different count. This top here, that would be a wave 3 here instead. And that little wave, that can just go there. So we tracked all of this, we've been tracking all this up, and so everything's sort of falling into place. So this was the other count. So in this case, we'll take, let's just move this a second. In fact, we don't really need that there anymore. I mean, I just leave some of this here because I might need to go back and check it, and I need to know where I've gone wrong and what I've done and all those sorts of things. So if that's the wave 3 there, coming, I know that was the top there, sorry about that, not to matter. So that's the 38.2%, so that's a bit of a fall. So if we don't get that fall down to here for that wave 3 to this wave 4 here, not that we have to get it that far down, but we'd sort of want to see it in one way or another as being that. So yeah, that's there. I mean, the other one that we were looking at this here as from this top to this low here was the wave, having this all up here as wave 1 and coming back for wave 2 here. So it would only come back that far, come back to the 15,500. So this will sort of, all these sorts of things will help us understand where we are with it a little bit further. Yeah, so the other count that I mentioned, looking at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then looking at this as green wave 3 sitting there, which is quite logical because this is a nice wave 4 really, isn't it? So we do need to be careful about that being a bit of a top there, but we should be able to eliminate that. I can see that Google and if you have a look at the stocks, they kind of need to move, well, not all of them actually, but yeah, Google needs to move up further, Alphabet rather. So anyway, they're the counts for this market. So in a bit of a nutshell, expect Thursday to be bearish. If the NASDAQ can climb into the 15,650, then you're resuming the trend at that point. If not, then you could expect the market to come back to the 15,500 to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree and then move up. But don't be shocked if it comes down to the 38.2% for this wave 4 here either. Okay, let's look at the S&P 500. Just on the weekly chart, we haven't seen this for a little while. So in this case, my little yardstick here, as you remember, that's the length of wave 1. If I put that on wave 2 there, close enough, we can still see that wave 3 is shorter than wave 1. So I would still expect wave 3 to be, I mean, it should be, should be up there. That's how I would that's how I'd like to see it. But obviously I'm not the boss. The market's the boss. So, I just need to do what I'm told. You're better off being a sheep in this game. Yeah, all I can do is just keep counting, and I always have a conservative count, and then I have a count that, that's probably more realistic, but obviously that realistic comes with a certain degree of hope within all of that. So you need to take everything with a pinch of salt and really just stay with the evidence as you go. That's all you can do at the end of the day to stay sane and to stay on point. So obviously we're at this level here, which is a 500, which is a minor level, the midpoint as I normally call it. It's extremely important because it's halfway between 4,000 and 5,000. So that will become apparent later on, not obviously when you arrive here, but, do we have that as support would be the next sort of step with all of that. But anyway, enough waffling. Let's just cruise into the, actually, I don't want to go here. I want to go to here for this because I've got my 2 counts on this. So this is a 2-day chart. There's nothing special about 2 days. It just already these odd numbers that I use for charts. It just gives me another palette to draw on, so to speak. So a couple of things here. This is my little yardstick for wave 1 and 2. So we're still a little bit shy of being there. So I've got 2 counts here. So I'm just going to open this up a little bit further because a lot of this won't really matter that much. It's more about the road in front of us, so we can throw out the rear vision mirror and just look ahead. So there's 2 things here. We can have a situation where we've got, just on these green ones here, as 1 and 2 and 5 waves up here for 3, 4 and 5 here. But this wave 3 that I've got up here and wave 4 and wave 5. So this wave 3 here, there's a count that it could be on this one. So once we finish this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, that could be the end of it at that point. Now, will that be at 5,000? Will that be lower, and so on and so on? It's all open for options. This length of wave 1 here and back for wave 2, the 601618 projection will take us up into group 2. That's why I've got that up there for that. So that will just be sort of normal, but we're a long way from that. We don't even have support on this 500 yet, but if we do get a nice tested support on there, then we can look up to group 2 at that point. So we could have wave 3 in this leg, which we'll be looking at, but we could also have it in the bigger picture coming higher here as well. It's what's right and what's wrong is another story. I mean, when we've been looking at this weekly chart here, coming back here, we've always talked about it, hugging the trend line, so to speak, and it's just been doing that, and that's who it is, and that's what it's doing. Will it continue to do that? Well, I don't know. We just got to see it. It'll do it until it doesn't, but that's why we track it intraday to pick up the pieces. So going from that 2-day, I'm just going to go into the 2-hour chart. So yeah, a couple of things here. We've got wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and then wave 1 and 2 here, and then just building. So from that point, we're going up from wave 2 here, we're going up to wave 3 here, then 4, and then 5, moving up here further. So in this case, we've got the 500 here as the minor level. So do we have support on this? Not really. We've got kind of half a classic trading levels pattern here. We've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. So normally on the bullish side, we'll look at it like this. We've got the arrival here. That's the 500 across here. We've got the arrival, the reaction, and we're up here somewhere. All right, so we could drop back below the level. That would be the normal thing, and then we'd sort of push up from that point. Or we can get a variation on this where it doesn't drop below the level, which would be this one here. So we need to keep an eye on this. And this is a good probability for this particular case, actually, because of the wave structure. The important point here always is this, the reference point top, and then we could use the second one here as well to go long on and build positions on here. So yeah, we shouldn't be caught out on this. But if this here is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 or 1 and 2 here and then 1 and 2 here, we haven't made a new high here, so we'll need to look at that as possibly the B wave at this point. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment, but the 50-60% retracement level here is in this space. So this makes kind of a nice sort of assumption for our bullish weekly cycle as well. Also too, when we're talking about the minor level here, then we can talk about the next degree of structure down, which is sub-level. So we've got sub-level 10, 20, and 30, 1, 2, 3 that make up subgroup 1 here. So if we get a tested support on top of this here, then we can go long from that point. So if I was going to go long, I would be going long on this one here for that. That's where I would be going long for. You may be able to get a better position if it comes back up and gives you another little classic trading levels pattern on that 4,530, and then you could also use that 30 would be subgroup 1. You could go to micro group 1, which would be 33. That's for people sharpening their knives. Yeah, so that's that. Let's just we'll see how this pans out, and just continue to move along a little bit with this. So we could say that we're bullish unless this is broken, this wave 2 here, because if we've got 5 waves here and that's broke, then the trend is broke at that point. Where do we go from here? I suppose we just go straight to the tick chart, which has probably got a different count on. Let me just check with this. It's just probably too much here. Okay, so in this case we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for 1 there. And this, okay, this was a conservative count. So in this case, having wave 1 here and wave 2 here, so a bit messy here, but what we were doing with this count was being conservative. So from wave 2 here, we counted this as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then we've counted up through So from blue wave 2, we counted up nice little impulse wave here for wave 1 and 2, and the nice little impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. So I've gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 here in this case. And in this case, from wave 4 here, we just got to keep an eye on. This is the conservative count. We need to keep an eye on it. And then from wave 4, we've been counting up as 1 and 2, and I'll just go straight up to 3 there because there's a bit to pull apart there. 3, 4, and then 1s and 2s in here, 3, 4, and 5 here for wave 3 here in this case. So this is a slightly different count, but still valid. It makes it just an option because this wave 3 here, the length of this coming up here would be shorter than that wave 1 that we've got sitting over here for this. So this wave 3 is shorter, which is okay. It just means that this wave 4 here up to wave 5, this wave 5 here has got to be shorter than the length of wave 3. So we would need to be careful about that top that we look at that particular point in time. If this is a wave 4 here, this can also be a wave 2 that we looked at it before, but the count here would be the A wave here, the B wave here, which is pretty obvious, it's in 3 waves, and then we would look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 here, A, B, C for 2 here, and then looking down for 3, 4, 5 here. So that would give us the Thursday bear day and Friday and Monday being bullish, so fitting into the bullish weekly cycle, which would be good. And the other point here is that if I was wrong, this is where you need to be long at this point, unless you get a classic trading levels pattern in here and you can refine that trade at that point. But otherwise we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here somewhere. This wave 4 can pull back to this wave 4 here. Or we could look at the 38.2% retracement level as well. That's always, you know, just gives us another little sort of space to look at, which is down at this wave 4. So technically it could come down to this point. So that's worthwhile looking at. So what we normally do there is we just grab that wave 4 and that 38.2, and we can go to there and remove that. We do have this trend line through here as well. Wave 4s typically break trend line, so it doesn't really mean that much. But to get down here, we'd have to extend a long way in this third wave here, and looking at the size of wave 1 and having some sort of perspective, at least with wave A and wave C here, would be required. So getting down to here is a bit of a long shot. But still, anyway, we need to look at all of these things. So what your job will be to do is be able to count to 5. So we're going to put your Elliott skills to the test, and we've got half of the puzzle here. You just need to join the dots. So you need to focus on counting this here. So I could probably help you out a little bit more. We could probably borrow that. That would be wave 1 in there and wave 2 in there. We need to make that smaller, and we're looking for a wave 3, 4 and 5 just for wave 3 there. Bring that down there, and then we'll need wave 4, and then we'll need wave 5. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, it looks like 1 and 2 probably one. Oh yeah. Well, you make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to that point. Okay, well it could be here and it could be there. So you need to go, this is 100 ticks, so you'll need to go to 10 ticks to sort that out. Okay, there's a job for you. Looks like it doesn't want to go down here. There's a bit of an impulse wave here. But like I said, if I'm wrong, this level here, the 45.30 is important. And then for the sort of scalpers, is that 33 there is really important, because once that gets support, that's micro group 1, 2 and 3 here. Once that gets support, then you know that you're leaving this number at that point. Alrighty. I think that's it. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.